Pushing film is one of the most useful things a film photographer should know how to do because of the flexibility it gives you to shoot in a variety of different lighting situations and the unique look that it offers your film as well. Now, a few months ago, I was asked by a friend, Justin, to take some behind-the-scenes photos on set of a cinematic short that he was directing, and it was all going to be shot on a 16mm film. And he specifically requested that I only shoot film for the behind-the-scenes photos, which I was very happy about. But I knew I was going to be presented with a few challenges, and the one that I was most concerned about was the lighting. Now, there were two scenes that were going to be filmed on set. One was going to be a rooftop scene that was going to be going from sunset into blue hour, and the second scene was going to be a nighttime interior. And in both of these scenes, I knew that I was not going to have a ton of available light to shoot in, and because Kodak does not currently make a color film over 800 ISO, I knew that pushing the film was my only option. Before I walk us through the scenes and the photos that I was able to take, I want to explain to you how I push my film and kind of give you a basic understanding so that you can know how to do it when you are put in situations where you need to do it. We'll be using this roll of Cinestill 800 as an example. And when I'm going to push 800 speed film one stop, I'm going to set the meter to 1600 ISO. Basically, every stop you are pushing your film, you just double the ISO speed of the film you are pushing in the meter. So if I wanted to push my 800 speed film 2 stops, I would set my meter to 3200. And if I wanted to be a maniac and push it 3 stops, I would set it to 6400. Now, one thing that's very important to take note of is that once you've made your decision on how many stops you're going to push your film, you cannot change that decision going forward for the rest of that roll. Now, once you've finished the roll, you simply mark on the canister how many stops you've pushed it and then send it to your lab. And there may be some extra processing fees or surcharges when it comes to pushing film because it does require the development process to last a little bit longer, but that's okay. We want the clean scans. We do not want muddied out crap. So now that you know how to push your film, let's go ahead and walk through the rollwood examples that I have from the behind the scenes shoot. Now, in this first scene, I was shooting on Portra 800 and I was pushing the film 1 stop. We were located on a rooftop in downtown Dallas. We were going to be shooting from sunset into blue hour. Now, the time that I started taking photos was pretty early in the day, just because I wanted to get photos of people kind of setting up the scene itself. And like I said, I started shooting at sunset. The biggest advantage for me in pushing my film at this point was that I was able to shoot at higher apertures, which just gave me more confidence to be able to take photos on the fly, bring the camera up to my face quickly, and shoot away. Now, a technique that I was using pretty much throughout this first part of the shoot was zone focusing, and this is made possible by being able to shoot at higher apertures. Now, it's all situational. I ended up taking portraits of a couple people as well, just to have them. But for the most part, I was just trying to be a fly on the wall, and that's why shooting at higher apertures really lended itself well to my style of shooting in this particular scene. And I actually ended up loading a second roll of Portra 800, and for this roll I was pushing it 2 stops, so I was metering it at 3200. Now, as the sun sets, that's when we actually started filming the scene. And with these photos, this is pretty much the shot that they were going for, having the subject on the edge of the building and then having this red light being flashed into his face. I was really happy with the photos that I was able to get in this scene, both of the subject and of the crew working as well. So now that we've finished going over the photos from the first scene, let's look at the photos from the second scene. Now, in the second scene, all the photos that I was taking were taken on Portra 800, and I was also pushing these 2 stops, so I was metering at 3200. Now, the second scene was a nighttime interior in a house somewhere on the outskirts of Dallas. Beautifully decorated, very eclectic, really made for some really great images. But as you can see, it was very dimly lit. Now, one thing that is very important to understand when pushing your film is that you have to have available light in order for the photos to come out. And I actually have a few images that I was not too happy with that kind of showcase why you have to have added light to a scene. In these images, you can see the shadows are very muddied. The overall image is super contrasty. There's some discoloration as well, and the grain is just not acceptable. One thing you're going to notice when you're pushing your film is that they're going to be a lot more grainy than what you are normally used to. It can get to a point where the grain becomes too overwhelming and kind of takes away from the overall picture. That was the case with these photos. Now, thankfully, I was working with a production crew that was lighting the scene in different ways, both inside and outside, to kind of give it more texture and range. So I was able to get a good amount of photos that I was happy with, just kind of working with those lights in mind, making sure I was incorporating them as much as possible. And I ended up being very happy with those photographs. And also just kind of being a fly on the wall, carrying that same style of shooting from the first scene into the second scene really allowed me to get everything that I needed. And at one point, I actually ended up throwing my flash on my camera and just kind of walking through the set, going back and forth, finding people, finding compositions to just bring the camera up to my face and photograph. And I was very happy with these images. These are probably the cleanest images that I took from all the photos. And again, it's just from adding light to the photograph. And I accidentally forgot to sync up the camera to my flash for a couple of the photographs and had this crazy effect of having a third of the frame being burned off, but I actually ended up liking these pictures a lot. But yeah, pushing film is one of those things that I know a lot of beginner film photographers are very uncomfortable with because you don't want to waste your film. But it's very simple to do, and it opens up a whole new world of being able to shoot film in situations that you might not have thought you could shoot your film in. With all that being said, I want to give a big shout out to Justin and his crew for allowing me to be on set and taking these photographs. And thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you were able to learn how to push your film and have the confidence to do it now going forward. Please feel free to subscribe to the channel and leave any questions you have in the comments. I'd be happy to answer them for you. And as always, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.